Hey everyone, me Kevin here with an update for you on the next rounds of stimulus. An economic strategist interviewed by Market Insider mentioned that the US has only provided 15% of its gross domestic product as stimulus money, while at the same time Europe has provided twice as much, closer to 30%, all of the European countries, and Japan has provided closer to 40%. It's an interesting comparison, especially as we go into this week, which this week is expected to be the absolute last week of hope that we potentially have to see stimulus prior to the election. So let me get you caught up and set the stage for what we should expect this week and what we heard from Pelosi today. Quick note, Webull has returned their 2 free stock promotion, so if you deposit $100 with Webull via the link down below, you will get 2 free stocks worth up to $1,600 each. Also, keep in mind you can get life insurance using your phone. You can Apple Pay and Android Pay for it in as little as 5 minutes, link below. Remember where we left off Friday. The Senate was getting ready to take off and go home after they passed a continuing resolution to continue the United States budget before the government shuts down. They're expected to do that Tuesday and Wednesday. They thought about doing it last week, but they didn't get around to it. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell last week were testifying and demanding more stimulus from Congress for 4 days straight, amongst other things, of course. Moderate Democrats in the House last week threatened to side with Republicans and flip Nancy Pelosi's rule and power and pass a smaller PPP extension bill, Paycheck Protection Program bill. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi directed her staff to prepare and release her own version of a $2.2 to $2.4 trillion stimulus plan to show Republicans what the needs are that Americans require, and this would apparently include stimulus checks, unemployment pay, support for airlines, support for restaurants, and rental assistance, along with other support. Well, here's the latest from today. Nancy Pelosi was just interviewed on CNN, and yes, I know 50% of folks watching this are not going to like CNN, but we're just here to hear what Nancy Pelosi said. She said, quote, "I trust Secretary Mnuchin to represent something that can reach a solution, and I believe we can come to an agreement. However, at some point, the public is going to have to see why $2.2 or $2.4 trillion is necessary." She went on to say the president's denial of the virus is just resistance to doing anything to crush it and has made matters worse. So we need more money than that, and we will reveal that in a short period of time. This is interesting because in part, it sounds like Nancy Pelosi is prepping or sort of hinting that she might take some suggestions from the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. Remember that in the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, there was a $1.5 trillion price tag. However, it was scalable, meaning if the pandemic ended sooner than expected, the price would go down to around $1.3 to $1.4 trillion. But if the pandemic worsened, the price tag would actually go up as high as $1.9 to $2 trillion. And remember, the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal included 2 stimulus checks, one in October and then one in March. Hopefully this new proposal and this final proposal we're expecting from Congress will also include multiple rounds of stimulus. And it's interesting that Nancy Pelosi is hinting at we might need more than even 2.2 and 2.4 trillion, even though that's the plan she's expecting to introduce. So who knows, maybe she's going to include some sorts of automatic stabilizers as well, maybe for extended unemployment and additional stimulus checks. We'll see. Pelosi then went on to say, quote, "I think we have a chance to get something done, and we want to." Further, she said, "What we will be putting forth is an offer to say, now let us negotiate within this time frame and a dollar amount to get the job done and put money into the people's pockets to honor our heroes and to crush the virus." And she said, "I'd rather have a deal that puts money into people's pockets than a rhetorical argument." Okay, that last line is powerful as well. She's saying she would rather compromise and make a deal than just pass a very large package like the HEROES Act to make an argument that ends up dead on arrival. So it seems like Nancy Pelosi is stepping back from the previous strength of it's got to be this, it's this or nothing. Instead, let's now focus on coming together and actually getting a deal that puts money into the people's pockets. This week is expected to be a very important week for stimulus. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer slammed Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominee as someone who might take away long-term rights for Medicaid recipients, LGBTQ rights, abortion rights, and rights related to lifetime caps on insurances and rules preventing or charging more for individuals with pre-existing conditions at insurance companies. Others argue that some of these might not necessarily be a problem anyway, and some point to the president's recent executive order saying that it is the position of the United States that pre-existing conditions ought to be covered. But some say that executive orders are mere suggestions and not laws. They're directives saying, hey, you, that department, you should do this, but they're not actually a law. On COVID, the daily case count for Saturday went up to 45,752. Cases have been over 11,000 for 1 week now in Spain. The United Kingdom's case count has shot up exponentially over the last week and is now higher than it ever has been before, with 6,873 cases. Germany, Canada, and Italy are also on an uptrend. There you have today's update. Thank you so very much. Get your life insurance and 2 free stocks, and folks, we'll see you next time.